As Sarah moved behind the counter, wiping her hands on a towel, the calm rhythm of the diner shifted the moment the front door swung open. Two officers, Daniels and Grant, stepped inside with the kind of confidence that made people sit up a little straighter. Their boots struck the floor with deliberate heaviness, and their eyes scanned the room like they were looking for trouble rather than preventing it. Sarah knew them well enough to sense when their mood was off, and today, something about the stiff way they carried themselves sent a quiet warning through her. Their attention locked onto a lone man sitting by the window, the same quiet customer who came in every few days, always polite, always keeping to himself. Without hesitation, the officers walked toward him, their hands resting on their belts, their voices sharp as they demanded his ID. The man barely looked up, his fingers wrapped around his coffee cup like it was the only steady thing he had. A hush fell over the diner, forks pausing mid-air as the tension thickened. No one said a word, everyone had seen what happened when these officers decided someone was worth targeting. And in that stillness, as their voices grew harder and the man shrank deeper into the booth, Sarah felt something rise inside her, an instinctive pull that whispered she couldn't just stand there this time. On an ordinary afternoon in the quiet town of Maple Ridge, life moved at its usual slow and comforting pace. The smell of warm coffee drifted through the corner spot diner, mixing with the familiar sound of old country music humming from the jukebox. Sarah Jennings, with her white shirt slightly wrinkled from long hours and her red waistcoat snug around her, glided from table to table with the ease of someone who had learned to keep going, no matter how heavy life felt. Her days were predictable, pouring coffee, sharing small smiles, and quietly carrying the weight of her mother's medical bills and her younger brother's needs. She wasn't someone who looked for trouble or attention. She simply showed up, did her job, and tried to keep her family afloat, but sometimes the biggest moments arrived disguised as ordinary seconds. As Sarah refilled drinks and greeted regulars, she felt nothing unusual in the air, no sign that the universe was about to place her at a crossroads. Yet, in that simple, peaceful afternoon, something was shifting just beneath the surface, something waiting to test her courage in a way she never expected. And without knowing it, she was only minutes away from the moment that would change everything. Accepting Jordan's offer felt overwhelming at first, like stepping into a life she never imagined belonged to her. But with her mother recovering, her brother cheering her on, and the town slowly waking up to the change she had sparked, Sarah signed the papers with trembling hands and a hopeful heart. Almost immediately, the transformation began. Fresh paint covered the old walls, new tables filled the space, and Timmy, Jordan's shy but talented son, started sketching a mural that captured the moment Sarah stood tall in her red waistcoat, refusing to back down. She renamed the diner Heart's Brew, a place meant to hold warmth, community, and second chances blossomed everywhere. Tom, the homeless man who used to sleep behind the dumpster, found a job in the kitchen and quickly became the soul of the morning rush, flipping pancakes with pride. Locals who once avoided her slowly returned, bringing with them quiet apologies and hopeful smiles. Even officers who had nothing to do with the corruption began stopping by, their heads lowered, their hearts heavy with regret. Of course, not everyone welcomed her success. A rival diner owner spread rumors, stirred trouble, even tried to sabotage her inspections. But every challenge only revealed how deeply the town now believed in her. By opening day, the line stretched down the block, and laughter filled the space that once carried tension and fear. Families gathered, friends reconnected, and strangers left with full hearts, standing behind the counter of her new diner, watching the community rebuild itself piece by piece. Sarah understood that one brave moment didn't just change her life, it reshaped an entire town. A week later, when the diner had finally begun to settle into a new rhythm, Sarah noticed a familiar figure sitting quietly at the counter, the same man she had defended that day. His worn cap was pulled low, but when he lifted his eyes to meet hers, there was a steadiness in them she hadn't seen before. He introduced himself softly as Jordan Hale, and the name alone made her blink. She knew it. Everyone did. Jordan Hale, the reclusive billionaire who had disappeared from the public eye after losing his wife. And now here he was, sitting in her diner like an ordinary customer. He explained that he'd come to Maple Ridge to give his son, Timmy, a life away from cameras and expectations. But the officers had recognized him and tried to pressure him for money. He hadn't spoken up that day because he'd learned that fame often twisted the truth against him. Then he looked at her with a sincerity that made her breath catch. "You saved me from something I couldn't fight alone," he said. "You reminded me that courage still exists." He slid a folder toward her, documents offering her full ownership of the diner, plus funds to rebuild it completely. No conditions. No hidden strings. Just gratitude, and a belief that she deserved a chance to rise. And in that moment, she realized that the man she protected had come back not as a victim, but as the reason her life was about to change forever. Just when it felt like the world was closing in on her, something unexpected began to happen, quietly, almost secretly, as if someone out there was watching her struggle and refusing to let her fall. It started with a delivery truck pulling up to the diner early one morning. The driver carried in boxes of brand new kitchen equipment, far nicer than anything the corner spot had ever owned. When Sarah asked who sent it, he simply shrugged and handed her a small note with no name, just 2 words typed neatly: "Keep going." She stood there staring at the boxes, unsure whether to feel grateful or afraid. Then, 2 days later, an envelope appeared on her doorstep. Inside was a fully paid lease for the diner, an entire year covered without a single signature or explanation. Groceries began showing up at her porch, bags filled with the exact things her family needed. When someone slashed the tires on her car, a fresh set appeared the next morning with another anonymous message: "You're not alone." Each act of support felt like a lifeline thrown to her in the middle of a storm she didn't ask for. And while she still faced the threats, the whispers, and the weight of being in the spotlight, something inside her began to steady, because someone out there believed she was worth protecting. The next morning, everything felt different the moment Sarah opened her eyes to the relentless buzzing of her phone. At first, she thought it was a mistake, maybe a group chat gone wild or a spam message, but the notifications kept pouring in, one after another. Her brother rushed into the kitchen, breathless and wide-eyed, holding out his phone like he'd discovered a breaking news story. And in a way, he had. The shaky video from the diner, her voice steady, her stance firm as she stood between the officers and the quiet stranger, had exploded across the internet overnight. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. The hashtag stand like Sarah flashing under every repost. At first, it didn't feel real. People were calling her brave, a symbol of courage, someone who spoke up when others stayed silent. But praise wasn't the only thing spreading. Angry posts labeled her a troublemaker, someone who disrespected authority, someone who should watch her back. Threatening messages slipped into her inbox. Her car was splattered with eggs. Reporters gathered outside the diner like vultures waiting for a headline. Every step she took, every breath she drew, felt suddenly monitored, dissected, judged. She'd stood up for what felt right, but now she was discovering the price of being seen.